Picture this. Two people walk into a room. One commands attention immediately, loud, animated, working the crowd. The other enters quietly, observes, speaks only when they have something meaningful to say. Now here's the question that reveals everything about how we've been conditioned. Which one do you assume is more confident? If you said the first person, you're not alone. You're just wrong. We live in a world that has confused volume with value, extroversion with expertise, and performance with power. A world where the person who talks the most in the meeting gets credited with leadership, while the person who solved the actual problem gets overlooked. A world that mistakes silence for weakness and restraint for insecurity. But here's what nobody tells you. Quiet confidence is the most potent form of self-assurance that exists. It's just constantly misread by people who've been taught that confidence must announce itself to be real. Today, we're dismantling that lie. Because understanding why quiet confidence gets misinterpreted isn't just about defending introverts or validating a personality type. It's about recognizing that some of the most capable, self-assured people in your life are being systematically underestimated. And if you're one of them, it's time you understood why and stopped apologizing for it. The cultural conditioning problem. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. We've been culturally programmed to equate confidence with extroversion. From childhood, we reward the kid with their hand up first, not necessarily the one with the right answer. We celebrate the student who speaks up in class, even when they're repeating what someone else just said. We promote the employee who's vocal in meetings, overlooking the one whose quiet work actually moved the needle. This isn't accidental. Western culture, particularly American culture, has built an entire mythology around charisma, boldness, and self-promotion. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Fortune favors the bold. Fake it till you make it. These aren't just phrases. They're instructions for performance, a manual for how to signal confidence in ways that get recognized and rewarded. But quiet confidence doesn't follow that manual. It doesn't perform. It simply is. What quiet confidence actually looks like. The quietly confident person doesn't need to dominate conversations because they're not trying to prove anything. They ask more questions than they make statements. They listen more than they speak. They're comfortable with silence because they don't experience it as a void that needs filling. They don't broadcast their achievements, not because they're modest to the point of self-sabotage, but because their self-worth isn't dependent on external validation. They know what they've accomplished. They don't need you to applaud it. They're secure enough to admit when they don't know something. They're confident enough to learn from anyone, regardless of status. They're grounded enough that your opinion of them, while noted, doesn't destabilize their sense of self. This is real confidence, unshakable, internal, quiet, and it gets misread constantly. Why the misreading happens. Here's why. Most people assess confidence through external signals, body language, volume, frequency of speech, decisiveness in tone. These are shortcuts our brains use to quickly categorize people. And quiet confidence doesn't trigger those shortcuts. The quietly confident person might pause before answering. To them, it's thoughtfulness. To others, it reads as uncertainty. They might not jump into a debate. To them, it's choosing battles wisely. To others, it looks like they have nothing to contribute. They might not celebrate themselves publicly. To them, the work speaks for itself. To others, it seems like they lack belief in their own abilities. The misreading also happens because we're a culture obsessed with immediacy. We want instant reads on people. Quiet confidence requires time to reveal itself, time that most people aren't willing to invest. It's the difference between a trailer and a full film. Loud confidence gives you the trailer immediately. Quiet confidence requires you to watch the whole movie. And let's be honest, there's also projection happening. People who need external validation to feel confident often can't comprehend internal validation. They literally cannot imagine being secure without performance, so they interpret the absence of performance as absence of security. The social costs. This misreading has real consequences. Quietly confident people get passed over for promotions because they're not leadership material, which really means they don't match the extroverted leadership stereotype. They get labeled as aloof, disengaged, or lacking ambition when they're simply not interested in office politics or self-promotion. In social settings, they're called shy, awkward, or standoffish when they're just selective about their energy and intentional about their interactions. They're pressured to come out of their shell, as if their natural state is a problem that needs fixing. Romantically, they're often overlooked initially because they don't lead with charm or aggressive pursuit. They're the slow burn that gets skipped in a swipe-right culture. And here's the cruel irony. While they're being misread as insecure, they're often more genuinely confident than the people making that assessment. They just don't need you to know it. The quiet confidence advantage. But here's what happens when people finally see it. Quiet confidence, once recognized, commands a different kind of respect. It's earned respect, not demanded respect. It's the respect that comes when someone realizes your stillness isn't emptiness. It's depth. Your silence isn't absence. It's presence. Your restraint isn't weakness. It's discipline. The quietly confident person doesn't burn out trying to maintain a performance. They don't crumble when the applause stops. They don't need constant reassurance or external metrics to know they're on the right path. They build trust over time because they're consistent. There's no gap between who they appear to be and who they actually are. What you see is what you get. You just have to be patient enough to actually see it. They make better decisions because they're not performing for an audience. They're free from the pressure to be bold when caution is wiser, free from the need to speak when listening would serve better. So here's what you need to understand. If you're someone with quiet confidence, you will be misread. It's inevitable in a culture that mistakes noise for substance. People will underestimate you. They'll overlook you. They'll interpret your calm as uncertainty and your restraint as timidity. Let them. Because here's the secret that loud confidence can never access. You don't need to be seen by everyone. You just need to be seen by the right people. And the right people, the secure people, the observant people, the people worth your time, they'll recognize what you have. They always do. Your confidence doesn't need to be loud to be real. It doesn't need to perform to be valid. It doesn't need external validation to exist. The world may be built for the loud, but it's sustained by the quiet. The people doing the actual work, making the real decisions, building things that last. They're rarely the loudest people in the room. So stop trying to translate your confidence into a language that diminishes it. Stop apologizing for not performing. Stop wondering if you should be more like them. You are not less confident because you're quiet. You're just confident in a way that can't be counterfeited, can't be faked, can't be performed. And that, ultimately, is why it gets misread. Real confidence is so rare that most people don't recognize it when they see it. But you don't need their recognition. You never did.